All right, that's it. Because we don't want to get copyrighted. So,
well, hey, actually, the video isn't monetized. The videos are not monetized. So
thing is, though, I don't even trust that. I don't even care anymore. Like, I don't know. Like, I know that may be the case, but it's just like the irrational like fear of me. It's just kind of like, yeah, let's not fuck with Toho.
Wait a minute. Isn't that song specifically because it's the original one?
Yeah.
From the. Isn't that in the public domain?
No.
It's not.
That shit's Toho.
Oh, that's
it's
right.
Theirs.
Oh, okay, I thought Toho just like made in so they. Okay.
Guys.
Well, you know,
there is no other topic. No,
I can do it better anyway. But like, hold on.
Wait, I'm gonna say something right now.
Okay,
nothing in this week even fucking remotely matters right now. You understand?
Sucks because I have some topics that I really do want to talk about,
Nothing
but I know
fucking
I
matters.
don't.
You will
guys,
save that for next week, David.
I'm putting the conversation on screen right now. Look at the irrationality of this motherfucker sitting in the call with me. He straight up refused to record. It wasn't a joke. He literally refused to record this episode until I saw the Godzilla movie in a theater. And for those of you that aren't aware, which I assume is most of you, I got fucking COVID this week. For like the first time in God knows how long, like ever. The first time I ever actually tested positive for this virus. Even though I'm pretty sure I had it before. And Dennis straight up said, fuck you, I don't care, go see it in a theater or we're not recording DDE this week and we're breaking the 152 streak.
I didn't say that. I did not say that. I did not say,
what were we gonna do? What were you implying?
Because one, David, I knew you were gonna watch it. So...
What, you just knew I was
I knew you weren't gonna break the streak.
You knew I was gonna cave, and so you...
I knew you were gonna cave, yeah, of course I knew.
You're a dick. Oh my god.
Well, first off, because for one, I knew that... I was COVIDzilla. I knew you weren't gonna cave. I knew you weren't going to break our streak. And funny enough, though, it turned out lucky. David went to a theater that was fucking empty. It was straight up... He was the only person there watching that movie.
No, I was not. I was the only person in my corner for what I thought was going to be the movie.
Oh, there was another person there?
No, there were people like in a couple of rows down below me, but I was all the way in the top of the rafters, and I was wearing my mask the whole time when I wasn't like... And keep in mind, guys, I'm already past like the 5-day isolation threshold, so like that's when you're like clear to like leave with like a mask, just in case there's like the residual virus, or in case you're still like residually like...
fine. Why were you worried about?
Listen to me, because you could still be a little contagious, and what happened is this mother and her kid came up to where I was sitting, and they sat like a couple of seats next to me, and they're whispering to each other here and now. No, you're gonna love this, Dennis, because like it's a little Zionisty or a little racist. I don't think the small child really liked that the entire movie was in Japanese. And they left like less than halfway through the film.
Idiots, both of them.
Like, straight up, they left.
Uncultured.
And I was happy about it because it meant I could sit there and eat my popcorn again, which you could count your lucky fucking stars that I was able to taste. Because if I couldn't, you're lucky I got my sense of taste and smell back that day. Because if I didn't, when I had to sit in that movie...
You would not have been a happy camper.
I would not. I would less of a happy camper than I already was. I was already pissed to high hell that I'm sick at home with a fucking virus. And then Dennis is like, oh, we're not recording this fucking podcast until you see Godzilla in a theater. So I'm like, God damn it, I have to drag my sick ass out. And again, yes, I know, like, it was past the 5-day threshold for COVID. I wore my mask. I would not have, I would have told Dennis to go fuck himself even harder if I was legit, like, dripping from the nose, feverish. Like, I'm like, Dennis, I'm not fucking going to see a movie. But
I would have stood my ground. I would have told you straight up, I don't give a fuck if you're sick. Go find a theater, find a spot that's isolated from everybody. Basically what you did already, like when you went this week. I would have told you straight up, I don't give a fuck, man. I need you to see this movie.
I hate you so much.
But David.
Yeah,
aside
point
from
is, I was okay. I'm not contagious no more, so I don't want to see any comments of being like, oh, David, why did you go to the theater? That's the only reason I'm bringing it up.
Nobody cares, man. Like, at this point, nobody cares. Like, if you're sick or not, like, people go, like, I feel as if, like, no one really could say anything. They probably already got COVID by this, like, month or last month, and, like, they probably went to shit regardless. I probably talked to someone, or, like, I probably was next to someone with COVID already. Like, I know people don't care anymore.
It would have been me if that movie was ass, motherfucker. I told this same man right here when I was sitting in that theater, if I walk into this theater right now and all I see is old Godzilla hopping around Tokyo City like a big playground, I'm gonna go to your house, I'm gonna fucking cough in your mouth, you goddamn troglodyte.
But that wasn't gonna happen anyways.
Yeah, I concede. That was the best movie I saw this year.
Fucking let's
Like,
go, bro.
full stop. I'm not as obsessed with it as Dennis is. I don't want to see it 5 times.
I already saw it 4 times. I saw it 4 times.
I know you saw it last night, which is why we couldn't record the fucking podcast, because you had to see it again before talking about it. Y'all see what I've been dealing with?
He's literally dealing
this
with like
Godzilla obsessed man.
Well, listen, look. But then I replied to you afterwards. Oh, yeah, by the way, guys, before I go on my rant and rave about this movie, welcome to the Double D Experience. We're doing it in the morning, 97.1. Gonna be kind of cutting it close because we're literally recording this a day before it's supposed to go up. But I figured now is the best time as any to like kind of just do this episode. And like I said also before, you know, David rudely interrupted me about his gay virus story, whatever. I was saying like nothing else matters remotely right now in the world other than this movie. Like, main thing, yeah, we are going to talk about today is Godzilla -1, which has been released in theaters. Well, had a worldwide release from December 7th, and it's actually new some current events. It's done so well. It was only supposed to be a limited run up to I think a couple days ago, but it's been doing so well box office wise and even just reception wise. Like, people have just been really loving it that they decided to extend the limited run. Basically, it looks like close to Christmas or even past that week, and probably just gonna be going towards like maybe the end of the year. And I've watched it, as David has said already. I have watched it 4 times and have loved every single time that I've watched it. I did have one bad experience with the first time I went because one bitch wouldn't shut the fuck up towards the end of the movie. Like, and
Did you get like one of those like loud like fucking people that you get when you see the Avengers movies, like when Loki fucking caught the arrow that Hawkeye shot him and then they just go, damn?
No, not even that.
Because that happened to me when I saw that movie in the theater. I'm like, oh my lord.
Someone exclaiming damn is not as bad as what this chick did, because she was like, oh no, she alive. Oh, see, I told you she alive. Like, as like,
oh my god.
Yeah, like amidst the music playing,
obnoxious.
Bro, I think there was even one guy, because I was the first time I went was with my girlfriend, and she told me that like she heard someone like kind of a little quiet because like I don't think he wanted to like kind of like let it turn into a fight towards the end of the movie. So like, but she did hear a guy like go like, oh, can you like shut up, like, you know, but like not too loud, because the girl was also black, and chances are if he said anything loud enough, there was gonna be a fight, and then it's just gonna like, now I hate you both. Because it's like, you know, now you ruined it for everyone. Like, it was, mind you, it was close towards the end and everything, but like still. But
at least they didn't launch fireworks like that theater in India.
They launched fireworks in the theater?
Yeah, some character made an appearance in a movie that the general public really wanted to make an appearance after a good long time, and so some dumb fucks in a theater literally set like fireworks inside the auditorium, like to celebrate it. Miraculously, no one got hurt, but like, yeah, like straight up, they like launched like fireworks inside because some character made an appearance on a screen. Like that's call it crowd control for a country like India. I don't know if that was like they were like aiming to kill, but like, no, that actually happened. But we're not here to talk about that.
That's nuts.
But if there was any movie that Dennis would promote like shooting fireworks in the theater for, because he probably set them up himself, it would be Godzilla -1. Guys, this movie was phenomenal, and it's not even about the fucking monster.
Yeah.
I mean, it is. The movie is about the monster. Like, I'm saying, like, the reason I loved it...
No, but it's a very human story.
The reason I loved it is, this is not a generic turn your fucking brain off, big monster go raw XD, like monster movie. Like, oh, Godzilla versus Kong, isn't that badass? Like swinging at each other. It's like basically like the movie equivalent to a monster truck rally.
It's a spectacle. It's a spectacle, yeah.
Yeah, like a spectacle thing. No. That's not what this is. This movie has plenty of the Godzilla spectacle, don't get me wrong. It's not about that. It is just genuinely one of the most well-written films I've seen in a long time. Truthfully, I don't know what it is about movies that I see in December specifically that just fuck so unbelievably hard. Last year was when I saw Puss in Boots, and that movie, as I've said a million times on the show, had no fucking unbelievable business being as ridiculously good as it was. And you could say the same thing for Godzilla. It's not like that Bryan Cranston one, which again wasn't a bad film, but it's sort of like the sort of kind of bastardized-ish like American take.
It's also they wasted Bryan Cranston. I'll always say that about it.
He was good in that movie for what, like the half that he was in it. In the half that he was in it, they made sure he got like good dialogue and like good scenes and a good character arc. Like he acted the shit out of it. Like his wife died at the reactor, and so he spent his whole life hunting why that happened, and they never found out. It was because of Godzilla. And
he was hopping around Tokyo
like a big playground. Oh, no one's gonna get that reference. But
we're old.
I know, dude.
We show our age if anyone gets that reference.
I mean, that was when we were in middle school, dude.
Yeah.
So like, they're not gonna fucking get that. But anyway, literally, just the plot was incredible. It was just a genuinely well-written movie. The character motives and arcs make sense. Everybody has their clear wants. The beats fucking hit. And it's also authentic in the sense that I wasn't kidding before where the white people next to me got a little tiresome. I mean, I guess the kid did because he was a small child and he literally probably couldn't read at that level, so he's not going to get anything out of it. So that's why his mom took him away. It's not like, ew, all these people are yellow and so they left. It wasn't like that. Like literally the kid, like with subtitles, it's like he can't keep up. Let's be fair. He was a small child, 6. So it's like he's not going to be able to read like, I'm going to kill that monster. I hate... War is
David,
hell.
Let me ask you.
There's no way he would have been able to do it. But
if this movie was dubbed over, would you have liked it?
I would have laughed in the sense that it would have been like, listen. I would have laughed in the sense that it would have ruined it. Because it would have been comically bad, like the original Godzilla movies that were dubbed over and had literally the infamous worst dubs of all time. Even
the trailing dubs, too.
Yeah, like, Turner Classic Movies talks about that shit. They talk about how bad those dubs were. Like, it's infamous how bad the dubs were in the original movie. Like, they're not even on sync.
Yeah.
Like, I wish there was a way I could emulate it to Dennis right now, where, like... And then like the words come out. It's like an insanely bad anime dub, but like with real people. And this movie... plays to a lot of like not the bad infamous tropes of like the original like Godzilla like dub movies from like the fucking 40s or the 50s or
50s,
whatever.
50s.
50, yeah, it would have been 50s. That makes a little more sense. And, that makes a little more sense for obvious reasons. But yeah, it plays on a lot of those tropes. Like there's one scene where like they're the reporters standing on the roof like talking about like, and the monster is right in front of my face. It is an unbelievable sight for you to see. Like it has like, it plays to a lot of the original tropes, but the good things about it, not the bad shit. It literally feels like a amazingly modernized version of like those god-awful ass movies like from the 50s. Or like those bad dubs, I should say. And then they took it and they're like, what if we made it the greatest movie of 2023? And that's what it was.
Oh, that's
basically...
Wow.
Yeah, don't fuck with me and my analogies, man. Like, all right? Like, I'm
No,
broken.
but like just your praise there. Like, greatest movie of 2023.
Remind me to change like the categorization on our Spotify or on our Spotify for podcasters, because we're still categorized as only a comedy podcast. And I forget that you can now address it as like multiple categories. Because we're basically a movie and a video game one at this point as well.
That is true, yeah.
We really are. And like
Nerd podcast.
Yeah, basically. And so I gotta change that. So honestly, that's my initial thoughts for you guys before I pass it over to Dennis. It's literally not a generic monster movie. It's like a Godzilla movie that like for no reason at all, like just is also one of the most well-written and well-told stories and heartfelt stories that I have seen this year for movies. And is one of the best movies that I've seen in a very, very long time. Liked it astronomically, fucking miles better than Oppenheimer. I gotta say, and like I gotta say, like
the prequel.
Yeah, even though Oppenheimer was the prequel to Godzilla.
I was even saying like unironically, you could do that as a double feature.
Yeah.
like watch Oppenheimer and then like watch Godzilla -1 afterwards. Like that, not a bad idea. I feel for a double feature. Like picks up like basically right after like Oppenheimer, and like now we're at the same country that like his weapon was unleashed on and what it made.
Spoilers for Oppenheimer. The movie literally ends with him saying, like, talking to Einstein, is like, blah, whatever the line is about the apocalypse. And he's like, yeah. And he's like, I think we just caused it.
Oh, yeah. It's like.
And that's what he says. But then the sequel, it's like, yeah, he did cause it, but not in the way that he thought. And that's how the trailer plays.
You just see Godzilla's roar.
Like a fucking Rob Schneider movie. Like, not Rob Schneider. But like a fucking, like, sequel. It's like, he did end the world, but not in the way he thought. It's like that old ass music too was still so intimidating.
Oh yeah,
and he also walks in like the way that he does in the original fucking film too, like with his arms to his side, like he looked like he was made of plastic, like deliberately.
Oh, because he still had like that plastic, like the rubber suit kind of look.
For only when he's walking, yes, but then when you're up close to the monster, he looked so fucking real. It was really scary, honestly.
So, I guess if we're gonna pass it to me for a bit, like, I haven't, again, let me just preface this by saying I haven't gushed about a movie like this in a long, long time. I have not said praise like this for a lot of things in a long time. And I think, well, the very fact that like I've already watched this 4 times now is already testament to like how like I'm not fucking around when I'm saying like this movie fucking this movie fucks. It straight up fucks.
Books.
And I with David on the praise that it's arguably the best movie of this year, like flat out. And I mean, I know people who have watched Oppenheimer and have given it praise.
But what about Barbie?
Or Barbie. Like,
it was better than Barbenheimer. It was better than both of those fucking films. Full stop. It was.
Well, the thing is too is that at least when it came to this movie, and at least when I was watching it, like I was very surprised like how much heart this movie had, because at least as far as even the setting goes, again, this takes place in 1945, post Hiroshima and Nagasaki, basically post World War II. Japan is basically a parking lot by this point in time. It's basically
sorry for laughing at that, but I've never heard someone describe it like that, and that's actually pretty accurate.
I mean, well, cities like Tokyo and even just minusing Hiroshima and Nagasaki, they were wiped off the map.
It was depressing. Essentially. Like, a good chunk of the movie, like, is spent in squalor and filth.
Yeah. People, like, basically... But the thing was, too, is that, like, they still have that, like, I guess people call, like that Japanese, like, spirit. Yeah. Or it's just, like, we gotta carry on. Like, what are we gonna do? Like, we just gonna, like, sit and, like, do nothing? Like, even her neighbor, there's a character there called Sumiko, who, the main character, his name's Koichi. He comes back home, and, like, she basically calls him a disgrace when he arrives, because it's like, I thought you were a kamikaze pilot. And when he comes back, it, basically means like you didn't do your duty. And she like almost pins the whole destruction of like,
almost.
Well,
she basically does in the heat of the moment.
Yeah. Because like, she basically lost her family, and she then tells him that your parents are also gone too. And almost like pinning it on like, like all of this is your fault. But you're also, the death of your family is also your fault as well. And there's a lot of like PTSD and survivor's guilt that Koichi has throughout the movie. And, another chunk of it is that not even just the war, but the beginning scene, against, I guess, already kind of is implied, like it's spoilers here, guys. Like, if you have not watched this movie, I heavily
not
implore
doing
you.
The spoiler-free review. Is that what we're
heavily
okay.
implore you to go watch this movie. Like, cut it off here. If you haven't watched this movie yet, don't watch this episode yet, and go watch the movie first, and then come back. But again, proceeding on from here, it's gonna be just straight up spoilers now. And
damn, I really didn't want to do spoilers because I definitely want to like focus on promoting people to see the film. But like, I mean, I could just mark them.
Yeah,
I can just mark it because up until now, like I already said, like, hey, it's the best movie I saw this year, and like the whole story of you getting me. To
and
see
then
it,
past that, it's just like, look, at that point, it's spoiler territory. So just letting you guys know, just letting you guys know.
Yeah.
But so like going back, there is the opening 10 minutes. Honestly, even though Godzilla is not even like fully developed by that point, like he hasn't become like the monster that we know him as, like the 50-meter tall like god of destruction. He's like, there's a scene where he shows up and he's like essentially.
That's another good thing the movie does, is that he shows up very early in the film, like just to establish him. That's one thing that the fucking American Bryan Cranston one doesn't do. Godzilla doesn't show up until like a fucking hour into the film, and I'm not even capping. Yeah, it's really stupid.
It's that movie had like its very big share of problems, and one of them was actually Warner Brothers, and they fucked with Gareth Edwards' work essentially, and they said like, no, it's too depressing.
Warner Brothers is literally like one of the most. It's the most morally bankrupt.
Ass backwards.
Like, no, they're the most morally bankrupt. Like this is the same company that like canceled the fucking Wile E. Coyote movie, which now might be on Paramount Plus, which is insane because that's their competitors, like their direct competitors. And
isn't Wile E. Coyote like a Hanna-Barbera property? I thought that would have been under like Warner Brothers.
Looney Tunes, Warner Brothers.
Yeah, so I'm surprised it's going.
That was before Hanna-Barbera.
Okay.
That was in the 40s before Hanna-Barbera. No, like it's not like Warner Brothers is just morally bankrupt. This is the same company. We were talking about the Godzilla movie. This is the old Godzilla movie. This is the same company that canceled the Wile E. Coyote movie to write it off as a fucking tax write-off, which they're now being investigated by Congress for, if I'm not mistaken, because that's illegal as shit. So. At least that's what I've heard. So, but yeah, that's all fucking.
I'm not surprised that Warner Brothers would do that. And
David Zaslav is the biggest piece of shit in Hollywood. It's not even fucking close. He's also the reason all your favorite cartoons get canceled. But yeah. Continuing on.
Yeah,
please.
and like the first 10 minutes, like Godzilla is established already. Like he shows up in the middle of the night, and he's not like the big titan that we kind of know him as, but he's essentially like a beefier T-Rex. But like. I even noticed though throughout the movie, he doesn't even like hunt to like eat. He hunts for sport in this movie. In that first 10 minutes, he doesn't even eat them. He just like bites them, chomps them, flies them across the damn island. Like
he does not eat. He eats.
He really does. Like the first 10 minutes, like the Koichi meets this like mechanic crew that they basically fix kamikaze planes, and they take him in, like, he stays there for like I guess the night or whatever, and then like Godzilla attacks, and then Godzilla basically just kills everybody except him and another guy who shows up later in the movie. His name is Tachibana. Yeah,
Tachibana. Yeah.
And he plays like a big part like towards like the latter half of the movie, and that first 10 minutes. And especially the music that was playing, I noticed it. I mean, after my fourth time, like I started noticing a lot more things. But like, the music that plays is like so eerie. Like, it's like, okay, yeah, this is like a monster attack, but this is almost like a thing of horror at this point, because again, he's not attacking to eat because he's hungry. He literally is just pissed the fuck off, and he just destroys everything indiscriminately. He basically kills everybody. He steps on them. He like slaps them with his tail. He like yeets them like thing across the island. And like that whole attack basically like and Koichi obviously, like there's that one pivotal scene where Tachibana tells him like, go to your fighter plane and shoot him with your fighter plane's guns. And even at that point, I was like, I mean, because he said like, oh yeah, nothing's gonna withstand a 30 millimeter like gun, and I was just kind of like, I don't know, man, because like, I mean, maybe that was like the whole thing too, because it's like, what if, right? What if he did fire on him, and if like he did, probably there won't be a movie because I'm pretty sure Godzilla probably won't die from that. But
No, the duality of that scene is actually insanely well written as well, because it's not only a matter of like the movie being well written and heartfelt, it's also like everything has a proper beat, and that scene actually has a double beat. Or a triple beat, I could even say, because the movie is about, like, you know, also Koichi's guilt later on for not doing it. Because what happens is that they send him to the fighter, he's gonna shoot, he's got Godzilla in his sights, and he freezes the fuck up.
yeah.
Like, he just sees the monster there, and he's just like, I still can't believe this fucking thing's real. Holy shit. And then he just freezes up, couldn't do it, just like he couldn't, like, crash the plane. Because he's like, I don't wanna do that. And so, he doesn't do it, and as a result, everybody gets killed. And when they wake up on the beach, Tachibana blames him. He's like, why didn't you fucking shoot? Like, you fucking pussy. Like, why didn't you do it? Like, blah, blah, blah. And, yeah, so now his guilt is haunting him throughout, like, pretty much the rest of the film because of that. But, what you learn later on, bullets do nothing against that monster.
Yeah.
Like, literally nothing. But the good thing is that it plays on what the characters know. They didn't know that at the time.
Yeah.
No one knew that at the time. You know, like, no one knew that bullets wouldn't do anything.
He was literally an unknown organism by this point. Like, nobody knows anything about him.
Had Shikishima, which is Koichi's last name, it's what they call him, because that's just what they do in Japan sometimes. Had Shikishima shot him, there would be no movie, because Godzilla would have just turned around and fucking killed him. It just would have turned around and be like,
outright,
just nom, then just yeet, and that's it. So it's actually funny, like, because like at the beginning you could be like, oh, like, why didn't he do it, blah, 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 and then you realize we wouldn't have had a movie because of that, and then all the other shit of actually getting to get rid of Godzilla wouldn't have happened because this character wouldn't have lived. But we didn't know that at the time. The characters didn't know that at the time because they didn't know that bullets don't do anything against them. They just assumed you backed out of your thing. So, plus it just plays on, like, the character's internal struggle, you know, with his guilt and his, like, his haunting conscience and all that. So that was a really, really good beat, because it's not just like, oh, like, he froze up. No, they give, like, not only the what should I say here? Not the reasons that he froze up, but, like, a double meaning in that, like, it plays on what both the audience and the characters know as well, for something as simple as, like, that sort of initial inciting incident. Because you could say that scene was sort of the inciting incident of the film, basically, where, because, like, all of the Koichi's internal struggles, because he's kind of an edgy character, as he has every fucking right to be completely honest, like, a lot of it comes from the fact that, like, I'm a fucking pussy. What everybody says about me is true. I'm a pussy. I can't believe I did that, blah, blah, blah. And then his actions prove, you know, later, even like halfway through the film, that he's not, but we'll get to that later. The point is, that was a really, really good inciting incident, because it hits multiple beats in one fucking moment. And that was the brilliance of it, honestly. It was such a good movie.
And again, this is even before, like, you know, Godzilla gets, like,
this is the first 10 minutes of the film. Yeah.
And, like, this is him, like, just, like, not that, like, okay, his, like, size doesn't matter and such, but, like, again, this is, like, a much more... It does
if you're a Godzilla.
It's more so, I guess, just pointing towards the fact that, as far as, like, we're establishing the threat. Because we already know, like, okay, we came to see a, you know, Godzilla movie. And, you know, for us, seeing... I think, I don't know, for a lot of new people, right? Like, I always wondered, like, you know, seeing him like that first before he becomes, like, the big man that we kind of know him as, like, seeing that progression again, like, because I think it's been done before in previous movies where, like, we see Godzilla before he becomes irradiated and become, like, and mutates into, like, you know, Godzilla, like, as we know it. But, you know, just even, like, I think I'm just kind of getting hung up on that first, like, 10 minutes, because the first 10 minutes was fucking amazing. Like, I haven't seen an opening, like, first act, like, for that in such a long time, and I loved, like, every second of it. And I'll even say, like, because the one thing that the director Takashi actually wanted to kind of get across is that this is a Godzilla that you should fear. Like, he wanted people to be afraid of this fucker. And, like, I mean, there was some times that I was like, oh yeah, this guy is scary. Like, this Godzilla in particular, he's a little scary. And there's even, I guess jumping ahead a bit here, there's even a scene where obviously Godzilla gets hit with the 1946 Bikini Atoll tests. The atomic tests, and that's when he, like, basically transforms. And there's a scene where Shikishima and his crew, who basically were minesweepers, they have to hold. They say, oh, you have to hold off Godzilla with a little to us it's a machine gun that we know does nothing to him, and 2 salvaged mines. Like, I was like, yeah, you're really like improving their odds of living here. Like,
Supporting cast was phenomenal, by the way. Like,
oh my god, yeah, they were so good. I loved everyone.
All those characters. Akitsu was such a great character. He was awesome. What was the fucking scientist name? I forget. Yeah,
Noda.
Noda.
Yeah.
Why am I not seeing his name on the fucking IMDb? Oh, there it is. It's right there. He just doesn't have a head. He just doesn't have a headshot. No, I sent you the IMDb. I sent.
Okay.
Yeah, no. Kenji Noda, and then there's Kid, like his whole crew, which all have their own like well-written little corpse as well. Like I loved Kid, who was like, yeah, no, if I was older, I would have gone to war. Like,
oh, that one scene
for the glory of his nation.
And like he like grabs him because he's like, oh, he's sad that the war didn't last longer. And like when he grabbed him, I was just kind of like, oh,
no, that was real. Yeah,
that was actually like really well done, I thought, because I know, like, can't say for a fact, but even for anyone like by that time in Japan who had experienced the war, and just even seeing like how much they had lost. And mind you, this isn't even in Hiroshima or Nagasaki. These are guys like who were living in Tokyo, where it got firebombed to the ground at one, like, and people were even, I think historians even say that like the Tokyo bombings, even just regular, like just the fire bombings alone, did far more damage than what the atomic bomb did at Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So, as far as like even like, obviously like when we fast forward and like Koichi comes home and we see the devastation that like basically was wrought on Tokyo, it's like already there's another thing that they're trying to establish, that this is like, it's bleak as fuck right now for everybody. Like, they lost everything. People have lost everything, whether it be loved ones or their home. They lost everything,
which is why one of the greatest and actual most heartfelt like quips about this film is that this fucker gets a family, that he didn't even want.
They just not showed up at his door.
Yeah, what happens is that like there's this like woman stealing bread for a baby that she found. It's not even her kid. And then she just like hides with him and whatnot because she just leaves the baby for like him to pick up, and then she just literally invites herself to just stay in his little hut, basically. Yeah. And then they just sort of become his family, and he just will never open up to her over and over and over again because, and it's for an unspoken reason too. Like, it doesn't even fucking do it through dialogue, which is the greatest part. The movie fucking shows and not tells. The movie manages to show his internal struggle rather than tell it. Do you have any idea how fucking difficult that is to
even
write
for
the
the actor
screenplay?
Too? Even for the actor too, like he had to convey all of that just through his face alone. Like, just can't say anything.
There's different methods to a movie. There's man versus man. There's man versus nature. There's man versus self. There's man versus man. I don't know. There's 9 or 7 different types of like fucking like sort of overarching plots for like the type of movie that your protagonist goes through, where it's like man versus this, man versus that, and a lot of the times it can be man versus self and the man's internal struggle. Internal struggles are so difficult to write because one of the golden rules of writing is to show, not tell. If you write everything in like forms of dialogue and like, and this is why I feel this way, and this is why this is happening to me, and they say it all, it's insulting to the audience because you need to find a way for them to like figure it out with your fucking character, to grow with them as they grow and they change throughout the plot. Because so many movies, Marvel, like just fucking they tell everything and they don't give a fuck about their audience because they know their audience is fucking stupid and they'll pay to see this shit no matter what. And that's why they write characters that don't change. That's why they're piss scared to write female protagonists that don't change because they're scared of pissing off the radicals, all that shit. And it just makes for insanely bad storytelling. This fucking movie, on the other hand, an internal struggle, which is the hardest thing to show and not tell because the struggle is internal with the character. It's in their head. How do you show that? You show what they're going through instead. And this movie does that shit flawlessly by giving him a family that he feels like he doesn't deserve because he's like, I didn't perform my duties for the glory of our nation. I let the emperor down. I let our nation down because I did not.
I let my parents down too because
I let my parents down because they died and shit because I didn't like become a kamikaze pilot. I'm alive. I don't deserve to be alive, and I get a fucking family. Like after all this, like what did I do to deserve this? That's the actual reason that he doesn't let her in, and why his friends don't understand it. It's like, why you have this like fate brought you. I remember it was fucking I mispronounced the name. Akitsu, yes, is the one who says it to him. It's like fate brought you two together for a reason. Like everyone else can see it except for him. Everyone else can see it, and there's no way for him to be able to see it, right? Yeah. And so it's just so that's really where the heartfelt nature of that movie comes from, and one of the most touching scenes of it come from when he finally like lets her in like the little girl in and whatnot. Which of course is when his fucking absentee or like his impromptu wife gets killed by Godzilla as soon as she fucking opens up to him, and that's where shit starts to get real. So I agree with everything you're saying there. And because it's one of those few things that like I just like I find missing so often in so many fucking movies nowadays. Like just the act of showing, not telling. And mind you, they do end up telling in that whole regard with Koichi's trauma because eventually. Yeah,
because Noriko she just doesn't understand either. Like, I'm living with you. You took me in. Like, I'm not your wife, but like, I even thought like you're technically his wife right now. Like,
basically, yeah.
Like, you know, like, everyone was even kind of saying like, you know, it's like, why don't you marry her? And like, you know, just because basically y'all are a family. Like, she's not your blood daughter, sure, but it's just like, hey, like, you know, like as Akitsu said, like, fate brought you together as a family, and he said like accept it and embrace it. But you know, the whole even that one scene where Akiko, who is like the daughter, she like just, you know, she's still like she's able to talk, but like it's like, you know, basically low-key babble. But like thank God that the subtitles were there, because like she calls him daddy, and he literally goes up to her and reminds her that I'm not your dad. And I'm just like, I remember one of the few times that I went to go watch, there was I think one of the crowds that I was with, like they were like, someone was like, bro, really? like we were all just like, come on, man, like that's me. Like it was pretty mean. Like,
why would
the more
you say
I look
that
at
to
it,
Japanese Dora?
Japanese Dora.
I don't know, the kid that had like the Dora the Explorer haircut.
Who?
The kid, like Akita, she had like the Dora the Explorer haircut.
Akiko.
Yeah, Akiko. My bad. I said Akito, my bad.
I guess, I guess she did kind of have the Dora the Explorer haircut. But, I mean, just then now going on. Like, because here's the thing. We've already been talking about this movie for about nearly a couple minutes now, right? And we haven't even talked about Godzilla. We're talking about the human characters. Like, that's the fucking one thing that this movie got right that I have not seen in any of the American movies, because they all... And I don't give a fuck about any of those characters. Flat out. I don't give a fuck if they live or die. That's how bad it is for them. Like, I couldn't give a flying fuck about any of those characters from those movies. But here in this one, and like, it's not even like, oh, the setting is like crazy fantastical or even anything. Like, this is just post-war Japan where everyone is going through the same fucking thing. Maybe Koichi just a little bit more because he has that survivor's guild, but like, everyone's basically lost everything. They lost their homes, they lost their family, and they just like are shuffling through life, or at the very least like trying to just live it despite everything, which is even the most, like, I even thought like probably one of the most beautiful things about this movie, because it basically, like, you know, I took it as like, even when things are fucking terrible and like you feel as if you have lost everything, main thing is that you, like, I think Akitsu even said it before they like took off for the battle. he like basically said like, you're not gonna make miracles by just standing still. Like, like shit's only gonna happen if you're gonna try to make it happen. And like, and in this regard too, like for this movie, and I think even Takashi even said in an interview too that like, because I think he got asked like, why did you feel as if it was a good time to make this Godzilla now? And he kind of just sort of pointed out that as far as what's going on in the world right now, war, and we even had COVID, like, it was just like terrible shit that happened in the last like couple years. And he felt as if like, because a lot of times the Godzilla movies have like, especially these standalones, like even Shin Godzilla from 2016, that was made in response because of like the terrible response of the Japanese government during the Fukushima earthquakes and even the reactor meltdown.
Right.
It just took so fucking long to basically respond to that threat that, it got so bad that even the Yakuza was responding faster to this shit than the own government. Like the government was basically shamed for that whole affair, and they still haven't basically lived it down to this day. Like people still bring that up with them. And now for this one, like it's got like the whole vibe of like desolation is so prominent in this movie that it just now becomes even worse when Godzilla shows up. And it also kind of then ties into like why they even named the thing called they named it -1, because by that point, like, Japan's economy was just non-existent by that point. And now we have this big fuck you lizard who's about to even fuck shit up already on top of the shit that's already fucked up. Yeah. And that hence the reason why it's like -1, because it's like you can only just go lower from there at that point. And
I was gonna ask you, why is it called that? Because I still did not know why it was called -1. It's like there's this unspoken sorry.
It's okay.
There's like this unspoken like nature of like where you don't even need to like, these people are from a different country than like in us as Americans are watching them now. A lot of us are different ethnicity, but there's this unspoken thing where it's like, that's the last fucking thing they need. It's not like Japan, it's not like at a time where like Japan is thriving and oh no, this big gigantic radioactive fuck you dinosaur fish came in and ruined us in our prosperity. It's like, no, Japan was already fucked. And then this thing came at the worst fucking possible time for them. And it's like an unspoken thing about it. Another way that the movie shows and doesn't tell, truly. And
and even
that was all I had about that. Go ahead.
And even just another thing too is that, mind you, this is a Godzilla movie where the governments of both the US and Japan do not get involved at all. There is not a single character from any of those like governments in this movie, flat out.
No, it's an all Japanese cast completely.
And the whole effort that they have to basically take down Godzilla is not like by the government. It's literally through private citizens. Like they drove that home in this movie because it essentially, I remember hearing from someone that like they would have no movie if the military like and the government did get involved, because the whole point of this movie is to like basically show that we can overcome this essentially by just not through like the military or like through our government, but just through regular people alone. Like we can like do this. And this was like as the movie was even saying, this was basically a citizen-led effort to basically kill this fucker. And this was one of the few times in like in a Godzilla movie where I was just like, I was rooting heavy rooting for like the people.
Monster.
No.
No, I'm kidding. I'm sorry.
Before it was the monster. But that was also because like,
Trust me, the movie gives you actual reasons to legit fucking hate Godzilla, too. That's another thing. Like, they give you actual reasons. Like Dennis mentioned, he does not hunt to eat. It's not like it's a creature surviving. He just destroys shit. Like, there's this one scene, again, and I guess we already did spoilers.
Yeah,
I'm thinking next week when we have Evan on, we can maybe do a non-spoiler. Nah, not with Evan. He's not going to be able to shut the fuck up.
No.
About that.
This episode's going to be double D's -1, and then the next one's going to be double D's -2.
Yeah. No, I'm serious. We're actually, next week's episode is probably going to be about Godzilla too, like the whole thing. I'm not even fucking capping right now. But, Yeah, you
This is
had
just
two
us
episodes for it.
gushing. This is the episode. This is
My
just
way-
us gushing.
It's just my way to get Dennis to just, like, as much as I love the movie, to just fucking leave me alone about it. Like, my God.
Hey, but you had a
no,
good time though.
I had a wonderful time. No, the movie, the
Yeah,
part where
continue.
Nori gets killed, and then the thing is, Godzilla, much like your average cringe Smash Brothers player when they upset your top player at the local, he does that shit, and then Godzilla has the fucking audacity to pop off. Like, he pops
emotes.
off. Literally.
He emotes.
I'm not kidding. He emotes. He straight up emotes, because that's when he shoots the radioactive laser, and he causes basically another fucking nuke to go off in Japan again because of that shit. And
Can
then
we just say that scene was amazing?
that's what I'm saying. And then you see the shot of him looking up at the cloud he created, and he's like, damn, I'm
did
fucking... Literally, that's like the best. It's like, I did that, and then he roars the loudest roar that he roars in the entire movie when he does that. While
Triumph. It's triumph.
yeah, while Shikishima is behind him, reeling in the fact that this thing took fucking everything from me. This fucking monster took everything from me, and then he cries and shrieks at a fucking. I dare I say, even like a James Brown like level of decibels. Like, where he's like shrieking at the fucking monster. And then this acid rain starts raining on him, and it's black rain like falling all over him. That was one of the most metal fucking things I've ever seen in a movie in my life. That was ridiculous. It wasn't even over the top, because like they read it in a way where it actually makes sense to see him have that despair.
Oh yeah.
There's another difference between that and like a fucking American film. An American film would just do it without giving us any fucking reason, because it's like, it's so badass, bro, and the public will eat it up. Because those movies are so fucking poorly and lazily written, because Hollywood fucking sucks back cock. This, on the other hand,
Fucks.
remembered to be a well-written film. Which is just another reason to watch these like foreign movies. Good movies are out there if you really look for them. It's another reason that fucking Parasite was amazing. And why I hate my parents who shit on that movie. Now, I don't hate my parents. Like, let me rephrase that. I hate when my parents shit on that movie, because they do shit on that movie, because they just hated how violent it was. And I'm like, you guys really do not understand the message of that fucking film. I'm not trying to sound like one of those dickhead like film reviewers or anything. Like, you guys just don't get
Rotten Tomato reviewer.
Yeah. But at the same time, it's like that movie is about fucking classism in Korea. That's what that shit was about. You know? And they just didn't understand, because, like, some people get stabbed and it was violent, so it happened for no reason. It's like, bro, like, that's just so fucking ignorant. Like, I love my parents. Like, they're usually pretty great, like, critiques of some movies. But honestly, like, it disappoints me to see that they disregarded that one. Just because
Would they like
some
this
people get
movie?
stabbed. They would love it. Trust me, they would love it. They would see the value in it. It's just literally Parasite. They just didn't hate, because the movie like literally becomes like a slasher film at the end, basically.
Oh, okay.
And
yeah,
I guess
fair.
I don't like extreme violence in movies either, but it happens for a reason, and there's a reason for it. It's not like these god awful American films where like people just get cut up and it's just like fucking torture porn. It's one of the reasons that, like, as good as The Boys is, it's one of the reasons that I'm hesitant to watch it, because the movie just prides itself, the show just prides itself on, like, oh, look how violent it is.
Ultra violence,
Everybody
yeah.
explodes. Oh, the shuriken went through the guy's eye, and you could see it go through the other end, and then Soldier Boy just fucking hits him with the shield. Like, I get it. Like, okay, you're violent.
Yeah.
Like, you're cool. Shut the fuck up. But without reasons for these things, it sucks. And this movie's beats are so fucking good that it just keeps you going through the whole thing and gives you a reason for every little bit that happens. Even the fucking, like, I didn't understand, like, the whole message they were trying to send with the private citizen thing. Like, I understood it, but I didn't understand it, like, as fully until you explained it to me just now. So, yeah, it's, the audacity for him to pop off. Not to mention the other time, by the way, where Godzilla emotes. Like, the scene that you said was terrifying. Where like they're on the fucking just him just why do I keep fucking I'm sorry, it's the Japanese.
Is it
names
on
I
the
just
island,
forgot.
or is it when they're on the boat?
No. Halfway through, Shikishima and his crew, like when he joins the minesweeping company, and like it starts like to sweep
Oh yeah, and
mines
they
for the
get
government,
basically
shoots
ordered
them.
like, oh, you have to stall Godzilla while the warship is about to come in and like kill his ass. But
Yeah.
we need time, so you guys need to buy that time.
Like, even that scene, I'm sorry, Dennis said that scene was terrifying. I was laughing so hard at the end of it. Because here's the thing, they put a mine in his mouth, and they shoot the mine. Koichis shoots the mine, it explodes in his mouth.
Bro, just regens.
I'm sorry, but just the way he was laying there was so funny to me. He was just like, ow, fuck.
And it's just
ow,
like-
fuck, ow, fuck. No, they straight up gave Godzilla, like, his Ah. 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 He's just like they literally make Godzilla rage quit in that scene, and I'm sorry, but that's funny as hell to me. Like even Dennis said it to me. He was just like, you know what? Fuck you guys. I'm leaving. Yeah, but then they also like do like the bullshit thing where like the mine explodes in his mouth. Half his face is gone. Like,
Yeah.
Like you see his eye regenerates, and I'm like, bro, what the fuck?
This is also
That
one
does
thing.
not exist in nature.
That's the thing. Like I
threw my hands up. I literally threw my hands up in the theater. I'm like,
there's just no winning. There's just no winning.
that's fucking bullshit. Like what the hell? Like they fucking outplayed you. Like
the thing
Koichi
is,
and his crew outplayed you so hard. That's a GG's and a handshake, what they fucking did to you. They baited you so hard, and then he fucking regens. It's almost like it's actually bullshit, ironically, as Reptar is in Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2.
oh, is he like, oh yeah.
Reptar is fucking dumb as shit in that game, because he literally just doesn't die. Like, he's not overpowered in that game, he's just overtuned. Because he's supposed to be, he's Reptar, he's heavy, he's the character's based off Godzilla. Like,
Yeah.
literally. The character lives to like 250% consistently, which is absurd in a platform fighter. Like, that's ridiculous. And then the
Is
character
that like
kills-
his main gimmick? I guess.
Yeah,
He just
and he's
won't
like really,
fucking
really,
die.
yeah, he just does not fucking die. And he's supposed to be the character that doesn't fucking die, but it's just way overtuned. And you know it because they nerfed it, and it's still too high. Yeah. I'm saying that because it's relevant, because it's like Reptar.
It is
fucking
relevant, yeah, that's
nasty,
true.
Because like, point is, then he kills you in like 3 hits too. He's such a fucking cheeser. I hate that character.
Sounds just like God. Sounds OP, just like Godzilla. I
Yeah,
guess it
and
makes
that's like
sense.
one of the reasons this movie fucking triggered me. Is because I'm sitting here and it just made me think of Reptar, and I'm like, it's fucking bullshit. Koichi fucking outplayed you so hard, Godzilla. That's a GG's and a handshake, but the character's fucking broken as shit, and so he just regens and then leaves. And then he has the audacity to rage quit when he's playing the broken character. Fucking Godzilla. Asshole, dude. God damn.
The whole Jaws sequence though was amazing.
Dude, that shit made me laugh too, because all that was happening in my mind was that fucking meme song. It was just like, I'm about to whoop somebody's ass. Like that's just playing in his head as he chases them with that like fucking like smile
No,
as he's
he
like
looked
wading through the waters. Like I wanted
remember
him to just like low-key smile at them and just like open his mouth like
That would have been evil.
like starts like nodding his head. It's like, coming for your ass. I'm not even gonna eat you fuckers. I'm about to yeet you fuckers.
Like I did your friends.
Like I did your fucking friends, ass.
Like 5 minutes ago.
And then I'm gonna kill your wife that you don't even want. I'm about to whoop somebody's ass.
So,
Like, I'm sorry, I was laughing in that scene because I'm an asshole. That's the only reason. I'm sorry.
no, that's fair though. It was honestly like now that I'm thinking about it, it was pretty funny.
Like the way he moved through the water too, like the fucking Grinch.
literally,
He was
like-
he was being a fucking greener, dude. Like he was just like sifting through the water, like the fucking Grinch, like slid on the ground when he's robbing everybody's house and shit. He's like,
It's like he had the
Right,
vibe.
SpongeBob, that's a symphony in D minor. Every sailor knows it means death. Dun 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 dun.
There.
And they're talking to Kid. It's like, Kid, you hooked me $1,000,000 on the backswing. Reel it in before I kill all of you. Okay, I'm sorry. It's the funniest scene in the movie to me. I'm sorry.
No, I'm taking nothing away from you. I honestly think that
It's a fucking symphony in D minor.
the sequence though, minusing the symphony in D minor, the sequence
Every
though.
minesweeping boat knows it means death. Okay, I'm sorry. I'll shut up. I'm sorry.
There have been drawings
Oh.
that were spawned from just that scene alone, and we've never really seen like Godzilla play with his food, which I thought was even more sadistic
Yeah.
about him, because he could. I honestly thought like he could off them now, like he could literally just like. I'm pretty sure he was not even swimming as fast as he could. He probably could have just sped up a bit and then just slammed his hand down and then just killed all of them.
And they left
if he
that
wanted
up to interpretation too.
Because it's like, because it's like again.
Because in that same scene, he destroys a fucking warship.
Yeah.
Which just lets the audience know he's gonna tear through this fucking little minesweeper boat like sandpaper.
I mean, he did before anyways. He literally like just jaws bites the boat and just capsizes it like nothing. And
it's like a dog playing with a chew toy, bro.
Essentially, yeah. And like there's even like the remember the deep sea fish that they used? Like them just popping to
symbolize
up.
where he is, like
that, like
hey,
yeah, and he's coming.
Fish. He killed some fish,
and like he's coming now. Like it just builds the suspense like even more. Which like we're like gushing about like a lot of like technical stuff here, but like this is just like, and I guess now I'm just gonna move on.
I'm down to see it again before we watch it. Before we talk about it with Evan next week.
I'm down. I'll watch it a fifth time. I don't give a fuck.
If we can find a time and a space and whatnot. I'm actually not working as much because the protege, my Nintendo protege. Did I tell you I trained somebody?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a Nintendo protege now.
Oh, you have a Nintendo Junior.
I do. Yeah, and she took some of my stores.
Okay.
I don't have as many stores anymore, which is
so now you have more time.
Yeah, a little.
Yeah.
I'm actually probably even going to only have to work like 4 days. And I'm not doing the assisted sales days anymore after this Saturday. So we're nearing the end of that before I move on to something else with 2020, hopefully. So, so I'm actually finally going to have some more time. I'll probably be making less money, but I've been working literally every single day for like the past like 2.5 months. I actually, I could kind of use the break.
Yeah.
I haven't
even before the holidays come in.
I barely go to the gym anymore because I never have the time or the energy, and it's like suffering because of it. Like my arms, it's like I need to get back to form to get my Godzilla arc for real. So by the way, I hate to be that guy, but that monster could literally never exist. Not even just because of like the radioactive nature of it, but even I'm talking about its size. That monster would be so big, it literally would not be able to support the weight of its own legs. There have actually been scientific studies done for it. It would not be able to lift its own legs. It would be too heavy. So the monster, even if the monster could exist, it wouldn't be able to move.
The only thing being that they've always argued is that he has a nuclear reactor as a heart. Like, that's the only thing that is basically keeping him upright. And like,
that's fucking metal as fuck, dude.
Which, for me, like, even in a fictional sense, I'm like, you know what? I'll take it. I don't even need realism. I don't give a fuck anymore. Like, it's like, yeah, if you had a nuclear heart, it's like, fuck it. Yeah, like, that works. That works for me. Yeah. But we're going to then move on just real quick because we're coming up on time right now. But we're going to move on to the last act of the movie, which is the battle.
It's and also, like, the build-up. Indomitable human spirit.
And let me just say, I have never rooted for the humans this hard in a Godzilla movie. In my life, I could give a fuck about the humans, really. That's how, like, it basically, a lot of Godzilla movies have kind of done it for me now. Like, at least up until this one, where I don't really care about the humans. Like, they could all die, and I would not care. It could be that, and I would not care.
Mm-hmm.
But, as David said, the indomitable human spirit. And how it's just basically shown in this movie. Because at first, the plan goes awry. He shows up early. They did not expect him to show up early.
Mm-hmm.
And this basically throws initially a wrench to the plan because it's like, I think they even ask him, well, what the fuck do we do now? He's here. Like, we can't sink him in the trench as with like the plan was. Like, the whole plan was that we're going to basically use the power of the sea to kill him. And basically just crush him with 1,500 tons of pressure of the ocean. Which I thought was one of the more unique plans that they thought up of to kill Godzilla. Because never did I ever think like, oh, I could kill this with 1,500 tons of ocean pressure. Because there's even a scene where he gets sunk to the bottom of the trench. So he's like in 1,540 something meters of like basically, below sea level. He just freezes. He does it's like as if he was on a dance floor and he's just like, stop. Because like he's mid atomic breath and he literally just sinks to the bottom. He just goes like, and
like he basically makes the Grinch pose in that thumbnail, like from a couple of days ago in our episode. He literally looks like that. I'm not even capping.
And
in the true spirit of the greener.
And the other plan is when they find out that it's not killing him. He's still alive. He's still moving at the very least. Like he's literally like dangling on the fucking cable.
Look, I don't know Godzilla math, but like as smart as Noda's plan was, all right, 15,000 tons of sea pressure. Godzilla weighs 20,000 tons. Maybe it's not enough pressure? I don't know. I don't know Godzilla math, but I'm just saying, all right? I'm just
Well, it's also like the science behind it was that the pressure, if that doesn't kill him, then plan B, we make him rise all the way up to the top to the top of the sea. And we make him rise like really fast. And basically now he has to deal with decompression.
Yeah.
And because he was like this, like the way I took it was that like when he's down there, he's like just so like, but then when he comes back up, everything just kind of like decompresses now. And like we even see like when he's coming up from the sea level, his like face and everything is just bubbling up past his skin. Like he's just getting, I don't even know how to say it. Like he just looks as if he's just getting fucked up the more like faster he rises to the sea level. And like by the time he comes up, we see he is damaged. He's really damaged, but like he's still strong enough to basically say, "Nah, I'm taking this one." And like he fires up his beam, is about to kill everybody again. And then who do we see at the very last minute? Our hero swooping in his plane, and this time actually fulfilling his duty as a kamikaze pilot, and flies his plane full of explosives, mind you, right into this fucker's mouth.
Should we reveal the twist?
At this point, we already spoiled everything. Why not?
I guess, but like, I don't. Fine.
Continue then. You can take it from here.
Continue?
Take it from here.
Fine. Yeah, basically what the movie becomes about, and this is where I started crying. Actually, a little bit beforehand, is that Tachibana, who comes back like way later in the film because they need him to fix the plane that they have to use to drop the bombs in Godzilla, wants to help Shikishima and then like kill Godzilla because Shikishima basically reveals like, that thing's vulnerable from the inside. We know that now because I shot a mine in its mouth. I'm going to fly in its mouth and I'm going to detonate explosives in a plane and kill him and go out in a blaze of glory, basically. And then he reveals to him in a scene that like, low-key, I actually kind of want to live now, like for my daughter and whatnot. And then it's not revealed until later on when Shikishima flies in his mouth, and the twist, big twist here, he ejected from the plane.
Yep.
And because he changes his mind and wants to live, apparently, because Tachibana told him there's an ejector seat. And the fact that him specifically, after he basically told you, you're a fucking waste for being alive. You should have sacrificed yourself in the kamikaze plane. You're a pussy for not saving all my friends on Odo Island and all that stuff. When he tells him after everything to live. That's when I started bawling.
Yeah.
The fact that any other character could have told him that and it would have meant nothing. It would have meant nothing. But the fact that they brought Tachibana back, the one motherfucker who was just like, you were fucking better off dead than alive. And he tells him that after everything he's been through. He simply says, live. That's all he tells him. And I just start bawling so hard that even after everything he's been through, he finds a reason to like keep going forward. And then, I don't know if I want to reveal the very, very last twist at the end. Like the last like fucking 5 minutes of the movie, it's revealed that, there's always a reason to live. And that you never know, pretty much, because, turned out after they, killed the monster and everything, and some people believe this cheapened the film, which I do not agree with at all. I can understand their argument. Yeah. I do not agree with it, personally. Because, if anything, I think it makes more sense, because it goes to show that life is, always worth living, even in the lowest moments where you don't believe that it is. You know, somebody who's been through, you know, not that shit, obviously, but someone who's been through reasons where it's like, has been in the lowest point of their life where they think like, oh, I don't want to live anymore, and that's fine. People don't want to live anymore sometimes. You could say that life is not always worth living, and that could even be true sometimes, but what life I think is really about, as I've said on the show before, is about powering through the times where it's not worth living because there's a tiny microscopic part of you that believes it will be one day again. And, you know, that's why the movie hit so hard for me, especially at the very end, where he chooses to live, not knowing anything, you know, besides, like, I just need to be there for my daughter and that maybe life is worth living. And then he finds out his wife was still alive, like, after all that. And had he did sacrifice himself, it would have, you know, been in more vain in that way. So it's just, that's why I don't agree with the people who say, like, oh, like, his wife being alive cheapened it. No, if anything, I think it was perfect. Because it goes to show that, like, you know, you never know how things can change in your life. You never know how things can get better. And you never know that even more so if you go out, if you kill yourself like that. If you, like, your life ends, you know, you'll never know. And so I think the fact that his wife was alive was the kind of the perfect way of encapsulating that, to be honest. I don't think it cheapens it at all. Really, it doesn't insult the audience in that way just because, like, oh, something positive happened at the end of the movie. That doesn't cheapen it. Like, the whole reason that even happens, like, script-wise, is like to literally encapsulate the fucking final message of the film in that no matter what you're going through, life will be worth living one day again. And all I could think about was how much Japan eventually prospered after all that shit and, like, the good shit that Shikishima was going to live to see now. You know, raising his family going forward. I mean, assuming the sequel, you know, what's going to happen in the sequel. You know.
Which, again, we all know.
Because, you know, it's a Godzilla movie, you know, it reveals that he
never
like,
dies.
He just never dies. Like, he's still there, like, somehow, or he regenerates again. Also, what was the shit with his wife's neck? Like, was that, like, radiation or whatever? Like,
they're theorizing that essentially she got contaminated with Godzilla's cells. Yeah. And it's the reason why that she was able to live and regenerate as well, because by all intents and purposes, she probably should have died. If not by the rubble or something, like, she probably should have killed her. So they figured, like, because of her getting contaminated with that, with those cells, she basically got his regenerative abilities, and hence why she was able to kind of, like, she looked essentially unscathed, in my opinion. It's like, okay, she still got her bandages on and everything, but
she might be missing an eye. We don't know that yet.
I mean, you know, but I feel as if, you know, just like Godzilla, she probably will regenerate that eye back. So, essentially, there was a question that was asked to Takashi, the director, and they asked him, like, oh, would you be interested in, you know, making a sequel for -1? And he said, I'd love to. It's just, I have to get asked by Toho, and it's up to them, really. Like, I could want it all I want. That's not what he said, but, like, I could want it all I want, but, you know, it's like, at the end of the day, it's up to them. And, I mean, with this commercial success of this movie, I mean, I could perhaps see a sequel in the future, but I feel it's, like, this is one of those Godzilla movies that I even thought, like, is just a lot better as its own standalone thing.
Yeah.
Because, like, I mean, the MonsterVerse is its own, obviously, like, cinematic universe that they're, like, essentially, like, you know,
not everything has to
trying
be
to
fucking...
push. And I know, which, again, like, I even will agree with David there that, like, you know, not everything has to be, like, a cinematic universe. And, like, there are some that, like, you know, I'm not going to be the hypocrite and say, like, I don't want, like, the, at least Illuminations, like, you know, Nintendo, like, their deal with Nintendo, and even, like, let's say the Mario movie maybe leading off into, like, other, like, you know, Nintendo movies, and, like, we already got that Zelda movie that's being made. So, like, you know, obviously, like, you know, maybe there is a chance of that, but I'll even then say, like, on the other flip side of it, yeah, not everything has to have, like, a cinematic universe. And, like, this is also the first Godzilla movie out of Toho since Shin Godzilla from 2016. So that's 7 years that they waited to basically make this. And I've even heard, I've even heard it said where, at least when it comes to Toho's Godzillas, they've only ever made them when the need arises. Like, a Godzilla movie has to be made because of, like, let's say, things going on in the world. And again, for at least Shin's case, it was because of the Fukushima, nuclear meltdown and even the government's poor response to it. -1, I heard it argued, was made because of like the state of the world that we're living in right now. And like the economy's down in a lot of countries, not even just in Japan, it's down everywhere, even over here in the States. And like people are struggling, people are just not like, I wouldn't say like fighting to survive, but they are struggling. And it's like, that's the reason why I even like kind of resonated a lot with this movie, in that we're not 1945 post World War II Japan, but at the very least, it's like we're living in a time where like it's a bit of a struggle just to even get by. And this is also accounting for anyone who's got fucking straight up bills to pay, or even like I just need like a place to live and such. And like it's, and if like in me and David's case, it's like we're with our we're living with our folks, and it's just like it's a bit easier for us. But I know people who straight up are struggling like right now just to even like make ends meet. And for me, like this movie just kind of hits home in a lot of ways, because it's like, again, it's all about the main thing I kind of took from it is like just the human spirit, and like how we're basically put through the ringer, like, and even despite that, like we still persevere and we still triumph in the end as well. Even if like the thing we triumphed against is gonna fucking straight up pull out cheat codes and say, hey, I'm back after like 2 years. Remember me? Your seasonal anxiety and depression? I'm back.
Maybe Godzilla is an allegory for life.
I mean, it always was, really.
Yeah.
Even the 54 film was always like an allegory on that.
Yeah. And it's, it hits... No, go ahead, please.
Please. And the last thing, too, is just like me saying that as far as like the movie goes and like just kind of what it means for me, I think it even just goes beyond the fact that it's like a good film as to why I watched it 4 times now at this point. This is going to be one of those movies that like I'll remember like forever, because again, I have not gushed. I have not rewatched a movie this many fucking times in my life. And I've enjoyed every single time I've watched it. Even knowing what's coming, I even still feel almost the same dread that I felt the first time I watched it. Because again, by the first time I watched it, I had no idea what was going to happen. Now I know, but it's like the dread is still there anyways. And this is also one of the few Godzilla films where it's like, oh my god, like I actually care about these people and like their struggles and like what they're going through, and like also like their loss as well. Like you feel it. You actually care. And it's like Godzilla is there, and obviously we all love Godzilla, but it's like, at least for him, he's the central part of the film, but he's not the most important part. Like it's still a Godzilla film, but we care a lot more about the humans and like their struggles. And it's again like one of those few things where I honestly and truly wish, like, for anyone who's watching, like, you're gonna love this film, truthfully. Like, I took a guy who never watched a Godzilla film ever, and he loved it. And like, it just goes to show you, like, it's like, you don't even need to know anything about Godzilla to even get into this movie. Like, just flat out, you do not need to know any prior knowledge about it. David went in almost completely blind in a way. He knew what Godzilla was, but like, he wasn't like, you know, a fucking nerd like me, where I watched like a lot of the older films from like the way back when times. But and I already watched the MonsterVerse stuff too and everything. But at least as far as this movie goes, like, this was like, I honestly thought like a great entry point for a lot of people. And it's like, I'm not saying, oh, David's gonna, like, you probably won't watch a lot of the other like Godzilla films like that's coming out of like at least the States. But at the very least, I'm happy that he got to enjoy this one at a theater. And like, even Takashi was even saying, like, if you really want to enjoy this movie, watch it at a theater with a great screen and great sound, because that's how it should be enjoyed.
Yeah.
And he was right by all accounts on that.
Yeah, you know, that's, I think I want to leave it with Dennis's words, to be completely honest. That I think that does it better justice anyway.
Oh, which part?
Just the whole thing about you said about how about the indomitable human spirit and why the movie means so much to you and whatnot, based on like the state of the why they made it because of the state of the world and what you see your friends and family going through and stuff like that, and how like Godzilla can be an allegory for life and all that stuff, like, and just how like the movie is just such a great entry point for Godzilla and stands up on its own. But yeah, I don't know, it just hits different for me because so much of my demons came through a really bad breakup I went through, as well as, just like separating from what was once my scene and whatnot. And for reasons that I'm not getting into now, it's nothing like dramatic or anything else. I've actually been talking to her, not in that kind of way, like not like that, but I talked to her and it just felt like it was time. Like just to be like, what's up? How you doing? And whatnot. Not in like that sort of reconnecting ways and like, like, oh, I love you, take me back. It's not like that. It's because it's exactly because I don't feel like that. You know what I mean? Among other things, that like I really grew so much as a person these last fucking couple of years more than any other time in my life. And I'm not comparing, like the state of, fucking, I'm not comparing like Godzilla to like a fucking breakup, but I am in the sense that like,
but it's struggle in the end.
The movie's about like, internal struggle and growth, and like this movie is just amazing for being able to show and not tell that. But we're going in circles at this point. Please just go see it. It was a phenomenal film.
Watch the
Even
movie.
if you don't care about Godzilla or whatever, it's not like a fucking brain dead monster movie. It's like literally just an insanely well written
got so much heart,
which is so rare nowadays from the fucking dog ass god awful fuck shit that Hollywood puts out nowadays. The movie was so refreshing, and that's why we're gushing about it so much. It was an actual fucking film, which is so rare nowadays. There's like Hollywood just makes movies, but they don't make films.
Hollywood could never.
They don't make films no more. This was a film. Let's go with that. Plugs. We're gonna talk about Godzilla more next week, so if there's anything we missed, like we'll get back to it. We'll get back into it then once we have Evan back on the show. We gotta go. Spotify, 5-star review, please. 2 clicks on your mobile device. Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, listen wherever you get them. Leave us good reviews. Tell your friends about the podcast and whatnot. If you're more of a video kind of man, even though this is an audio-based show, you can subscribe at youtube.com/Nintoonist. I have been streaming NASB 2 quite a bit on my grind to get to top 100 in that game. And I got to All-Star rank. Steve Harwell, I hope you're proud of me. Yeah, I love that game so much. I've been streaming it a lot. Probably going to start streaming it on YouTube soon, which is where I know most of you listen anyway. Probably going to start doing it there just because I don't want to stream on Twitch anymore for reasons that I'm not going to get into right now.
If y'all know, you'll know.
Yeah, if you know, you know. If you know, you know, honestly. I'm just going to try streaming on YouTube for now. But in case that doesn't go down, there is my Twitch and whatnot. It's twitch.tv/Nintoonist, but I'm going to try streaming on YouTube instead. So expect more NASB content. I honestly do plan on making content for that game. I have some good ideas. And yeah, I got to go to work. It's already like 11:30.
I got to go pick up my mom.
Sheesh. And this shit has to render. So we love y'all. We'll talk more about Godzilla next week. Please go see it. Please, 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 please. Promise
it's still running in theaters. It should have left by this week. Go
see it at your local theater. We promise you won't regret it, even though we spoiled everything. Who knows? Maybe next week we'll do a spoiler-free episode just to coincide with this one. I don't know.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, I don't think you and I are capable of that.
No, if we wanted to, we would have already said.
Yeah, like, I don't think we
can. Same.
I really don't think we can, dude. It's too hard. We just get too
we just gush too much.
We just get too excited. Too excited.
Too excited.
Yeah, too excited. All right, we love y'all. Gotta go. Mwah. Kisses. Godzilla bites. Rar. XD. Gamer girls.
Hate you.
I hate you for making me see it with COVID. Bye. Godzilla.